anyway. But look, let's come into the review now of the game last night. Obviously, we lost 1-0 at the Riverside, crashed out the FA Cup in the last 16 in a disaster performance. You've got to say that. And, you know, you talk about just now that you don't think maybe it was what Bob was kind of talking about in the, you know, will to care in these players. But it's inexcusable to let a team want it more than us. We should be going on that pitch, especially with Antonio Conte as manager, wanting to win and, you know, showing that on the pitch every single game, week in, week out. And yeah, you're saying that during midweek games, we don't have enough time. Well, it's not that we don't have enough time to prepare, but during the week when we do have enough time to prepare, you know, we're performing well in the games. But it's in these games against the Middlesbroughs, against the Burnleys, against the Wolveses and all that kind of stuff. When we're expected to have the domination and the possession of the ball, we just can't perform against these teams. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what the way around this is. But when we're asked to control the possession, to take the game to the other team, we are falling flat every single time. And what do we put that down to? Is that just clearly just a lack of quality and that's it?
I think, first of all, yeah, massively. I think for sure that's a lot to do with the lack of quality, especially because in those situations, you have two ways. First of all, I don't think yesterday was actually a situation where we couldn't break down a low block. Borough weren't even low blocking yesterday. They were pressing us and pushing out. And
what I'm saying is, I'm not saying
I know, but what I'm saying is, for sure, tactics is one thing. I think we were way too pragmatic. You saw as soon as we switched it to a back four yesterday, although we threw more caution to the wind and we might have opened up a bit, we were all of a sudden within 5 minutes we created more chances than we had all game. In the last 10 minutes yesterday, as soon as Bergwijn came on, went to a back four, all of a sudden we're way more creative. I don't know why he waited until 10 minutes to go to do that. He should have done it way earlier. I would have done it probably at half time, but if not at half time, probably on the hour mark, you do that. And then you have a lot more time to try and kill the game. When you see it's not working, because it clearly wasn't working for an hour. We barely created a thing for an hour. We created more in those 10 minutes, probably the last 10 minutes of the game, than we did in the rest of the 80 minutes. Yeah. So for sure, tactically, Conte's got to take some responsibility for that, because I think he reacted way too late. But I think when it comes to his structure, yeah, there's a lack of quality. I think the wing backs, I think they did well against Leeds, but I don't think they did well yesterday. I know Doherty and Sesson probably had our best moments, but there's still not enough quality when they're in space to really hurt the opposition. And in central areas, Højbjerg and Winks, and as much as they're okay when they're not have pressure on them and stuff, when they're being closed down, when they're being asked to do things which more creative players are capable of, like getting into the final third, playing good progressive passes in between the lines that can hurt the opposition, they weren't up to it yesterday. When they asked to carry the ball, weren't up to it yesterday. It was defensively, I think Højbjerg was pretty good, but when it was on the ball,
he lost the ball.
I think he was found lacking, and I think Winks as well. Winks was also found lacking yesterday. He was found lacking on both on and off the ball. We don't have a player. Like, we're pretty much asking Harry Kane to be our number 9 and number 10. And that's too, like, as much as he can do both roles, he also needs help.
And number 8.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, the thing is with Kane, if he is going to be, when he does go into the number 10, you need someone to go and be the number 9 then, which is why probably we need a second striker. If he is going to be the number 9, you need someone to fill that number 10 role. And he can't do both at the same time. He can only do one at a time. And it's fine that he can do both. But when he is doing one, someone else has to step in and do the other role. And at the moment, we don't have that. At the moment, as much as I think Son, as much as I love him, I thought he was absolutely diabolical yesterday.
I actually think Son was our worst player on the pitch.
He was horrendous, I have to say. He was absolutely horrendous. I don't know whether he was looking leggy, he was tired, but he was all over the shop. He couldn't control a ball. He waited way too long whenever he did have the ball. He was running into blind alleys time and time again. He was looking for dribbles
as well, man.
It was just really bad from Sonny. And I've always questioned whether this number 10 position is his best position, because in the central areas deeper, Is that where you want Son? You either want him wide or you want him stretching the last man. That's what you want. You don't really want him deep in central areas where it's very congested. He's never really thrived in those scenarios, and he did on Saturday, but he had a lot of space on Saturday. He didn't have that as the space he did yesterday.
But even, you know, you say, yeah, fine, he did have a lot more space than usual in that kind of position against Leeds, but he was still picking up the ball from deep and driving at defenders, even in the tight spaces against Leeds, because he had quite a few men round him and he was beating men for fun against Leeds. And yesterday when he was getting on the ball, like you say, just taking too much time to make his decisions, his horrible touches as well, and just nothing at all was coming off for him yesterday.
We don't have like a maestro or creator in tight areas like, you know, like Eriksen or, you know, Bernardo Silva, James Maddison, like someone who can operate in these, like even like Thiago Alcantara that Liverpool have, someone like that who has that bit of quality in tight spaces when teams are pressing them. Like the 4 centre mids we have, I honestly, people saying, oh, we need Bentancur back, we need Skip back. I'm sure, I don't doubt they're better players than Winks, but what I'm saying is you put them in the team yesterday, it doesn't change the way we play, I don't think. I think it's going to be very similar. I think it's going to be very similar.
If you put Bentancur in for Winks yesterday, I think it does make a slight difference in terms of maybe his energy and mobility around the pitch, and also his ability to get the ball and play a really good pass forward. Yeah, I know Winks can do that as well, but Bentancur has shown it already in a shorter amount of time what quality he can bring, and he's won the ball in the opposition area of the pitch more than any other midfielders put together. So I think maybe it would have made a slight difference, maybe having Bentancur instead of Winks yesterday.
Yeah, but I'm saying the type of midfielder he is, I still don't think it it might have made a slight difference. We probably might have created a few more chances, but I don't think like having that profile. We need someone who's like a proper playmaker. We don't have that. We don't have a proper player who's really comfortable on the ball in all types of situations. All those midfielders, apart from arguably Skip, are not that comfortable when they're on the ball and they've got players hounding them and pressing them. Skip is the only one who has a bit of calmness, it seems, and he's calm and he doesn't kind of panic, but he still usually plays it backwards or sideways when in those situations. He doesn't, like Moussa Dembele took on all comers. He didn't care who was coming to him. He was like, okay, you're coming that direction, this guy's coming this direction. I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Ultimate press resistant midfielder, wasn't he? The ultimate.
We have midfielders, it seems, that seem worried and scared whenever they're being pressed, and and more often than not they get caught on the ball in very dangerous areas. And we have serious problems when teams are very structured to build up the play through the central areas. So if we can't build up the play through the central areas, it means we have to go out wide. And when we go out wide, we find Doherty and we find Sessegnon in space, but more often than not, the quality isn't there from them. Unfortunately, to really hurt the opposition as much as they did well on Saturday, they're on consistently. I don't think any team is worried about Sessegnon and Doherty having space. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the top of their list of concerns. So that's the problem. I think that's a serious problem. We'd never addressed that issue. We haven't addressed it since Eriksen left. We let go of Ndombele and Lo Celso, who were our best technicians in January. We didn't replace them with anyone of that quality at all, or of that profile. And now we're having these performances like Burnley away, like Borough, where we're really struggling to get good quality service into the front line in and around the final third, and also we're really struggling to progress the ball on a consistent basis, and that's a big issue, and I can't see it being solved against these kind of sides, especially when we're playing 2 games a week and the energy levels aren't that high. That also factors into it.
Now we're out of the cup, though, moving forward in terms of, what you're saying about 2 games a week. It is more or less going to be 1 game a week now from the end of the season.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this, when I was thinking about Conte's previous jobs and where he's at his best. He won the league at Chelsea when they had no European football. They were playing pretty much 1 game a week for the whole season. At Inter Milan, when he won the league, they got knocked out the group stages of the Champions League, and then they went on a brilliant run second half of the season and went on winning the league.
Europa League.
No, they were in the Champions League.
Yeah, but did they not drop down to the Europa League that season?
Don't think, did they? I'm pretty sure they
didn't they get to the final?
That was season before.
So what did they do in that season? I'm pretty sure they went far, lost in the quarters or something, in the semis or something like that.
I think they went out in the groups. I think they finished fourth.
Did they?
Yeah, I think they finished fourth in the Champions League group stages in their second season. Pretty sure they did. And in their second season, and then they pretty much playing one game a week for the second half of the season, and they went on a brilliant one and went on winning the league. Like, I think we all know that Conte has struggled in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Whenever he's never really got far. I know he got to the Europa League final with Inter Milan in his first season. Fair enough, and I think they finished in the top four as well in Italy. So that proves that maybe that in that situation they were decent. They were decent in the one game a week. But I think he has history with his teams not being at their best when they're playing 2 games a week. I think there's history there.
It's interesting. I'm trying to just bring up to see where they did get, but I think you're right. Champions League, yeah, I think they finished bottom of their group.
They finished bottom of the group,
They
yeah.
only won 1 game against Mönchengladbach.
They had a tough group. I think it was Madrid, Gladbach, and
Yeah.
and who was it?
It was Madrid, Gladbach, and
It's a really tough group, I remember.
Shakhtar.
Was it Shakhtar as well?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they should have finished bottom of Shakhtar.
But yeah, they finished bottom of their group. So maybe there is something in that.
I know the season before that they finished top 4 and got to Europa League final. So
Yeah.
clearly he's shown he can do it. But like, I think when he's at his best, when he's winning leagues and stuff, he's usually at 1 game a week, or at the most time 1 game a week. And I think at Tottenham we've seen when it's 2 games a week, we badly struggle. We barely win those 2 games unless we've got like opposition like Norwich or Brentford is one of them. Or then again it was Borough and we still couldn't win. So.
But what you put that down to? I mean,
Maybe it's
what
the
do you
way he
read
plays.
into that? I mean,
Maybe it's the way he plays.
even that season when they got to Europa League final, they still ran deep in the league that season and could have won the league. They finished second, I think, right?
I think it was top 3 in the end, wasn't it?
Was it? Well, they fell right at the end.
Yeah, I
They
think
went on a really bad run the last few games of the season, but they actually had a really good season in the league that year. Prior to that.
Yeah, maybe it's just the way he plays. And the 3-4-3, or especially with the 3-4-3, there's a lot of running involved because, especially in the centre mid, you have a lot of ground to cover because especially if you're 2 up against a 3, you have to make sure you're covering a lot of ground. The wing backs, as we know, that is a very taxing role. You have to literally be a fullback and a winger in the same game. Your fitness levels have to be crazy. You have to be literally in tip-top shape for the whole 90 minutes. I struggle to think that he doesn't rotate those wing backs more often when we're playing more than 1 game a week, because that I can understand why they seem burnt out. You know, how often do we see the wing backs have to go off after about an hour or 70 minutes? Nearly every game, because they're just absolutely on their knees. So maybe that's something as well. Maybe it's just the way he plays. When you're playing 1 game a week, it's a lot more manageable. And it goes to 2 games a week, they're starting to struggle to keep up with it. Maybe that's something to do with it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure it out, but it does. There does seem to be something there. I think when it comes to Conte and his teams like not being at their best when they're playing 2 games a week.
It's interesting. It really is.
Because Chelsea's second season, once they got Champions League and stuff, when they were in the Champions League, I think they got knocked out by Barca in the round of 16, but they finished 5th that season, I think, didn't they, in his second season? And then they got to the FA Cup final and lost, but. No, they won the FA Cup in the second half of the season.
He lost the final
in the first season. Yeah, so maybe I don't know. Maybe there is a case for that.
Well, it's an interesting stat. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, like next season and stuff, if we are in Europe, to see if it holds up again. But in terms of Conte,
well, I think it can work. He just needs sufficient rotation options, so he doesn't have that here.
we need a sufficient squad.
Exactly. We're literally relying. We're running Son and Kane into the ground every single game. We're like in these kind of games, we've
got fullbacks that we can rotate. Regulon hasn't played in ages. Why didn't Regulon play yesterday? Why didn't he even come on earlier than he did? I mean, they waited until extra time to bring on Regulon.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Second half of extra time as well.
And that's why I think he's got to take responsibility as well.
And
I think he waited way, way, way too long.
We could see how wrong it was going in that first half, and we thought, all right, Antonio Conte is going to lay into them at half time, and it's going to change in the second half. Second half started exactly the way the first half ended, and we just could not break them down. The game was crying out for changes for a long time before he brought in the first sub with 10 minutes to go. Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand why he didn't change things quicker. What was he watching?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the. I don't know what he was watching. He should have changed it a lot quicker. That was.
As much as we want to lay into the players and how the players are not good enough, but these players, as much as we've said it all before, as much as that maybe sometimes they don't look like they care and this and that, they play. They're playing to the majority, their max level at the moment because they can find the space on the counter attacks. But when they're asked to get on the ball, it's the same thing every time. And I'm actually starting to think that these players are just playing at the max of their level and they're just not good enough.
Yeah, I think
that's that.
I think that's I think that's evident. I don't think these players are throwing Conte under the bus or anything. I think they're trying their best, and I think they're not good enough to keep up with what he's demanding, and we're seeing it in the results and the lack of consistency.
And how many managers are going to fall before we actually put proper investment into this squad? Because how many managers are you going to try with the same group of players and the same results to start happening over and over again? You know what I mean? It's the same thing, literally.
Yeah,
we need a change in personnel dramatically in this squad if we're going to get anything out of Conte, anything, and any manager, to be honest.
And whether he will get sufficient backing in the summer, with the way things are going, I don't know. I really don't know.
Anyway, that was the match review. Went on a bit of a